today, good morning, afternoon, depending on what time of the world you're looking at this video. But this is Ronald Meredith with the Financial Center, uh, and today on the Mind Your Business podcast, I'm here with a young man that he and I are gonna be friends for a long time, Mr. T.C. Hayes. Uh, TC has a uh, background in real estate, hard work, and making money.
Right.
So
Mhm.
we're going to be together a long time. But this morning, Mr. TC, I want to most definitely, man, just appreciate you for giving me some of your time. I've been
Right.
a fan and a follower of your Facebook page, and you got 2 books out. And I don't even know why you didn't bring the book. I guess you were just running, didn't even think about that.
And I
But
stacked them up. I should have brought them. I'm
but
going to go to Texas with all of them. Yeah.
we gonna have to feature the book. But
Yeah.
today, I just wanted a little bit of your time uh, for us to talk.
Mhm.
The as I was saying earlier, the purpose of the podcast is to inspire business owners,
Right.
to inspire individuals that want to be business
Mhm.
owners, to say, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
God gives everybody pretty much, from what scientists say, the same size
Mhm.
brain, the same
Mhm.
amount of gray matter,
Sure.
same number of seconds, minutes, and hours
Mhm.
per day. So earlier we were mentioning, talking about uh, $100,000, whether or not it's a lot of money or it's not a lot of money. Uh, but we both determined that to make $100,000, whether it's a year, whether or not it's a day, whether or not it's a week,
Mhm.
is strictly mindset.
Right.
And I had mentioned that I was a fan of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich,
Mhm.
and how after years of being a fan of the book, I finally discovered that
Mhm.
the answer to the book is think.
Right.
So what I want people to do is to think.
Right.
And so before we get going, I want you and would like for you to, let's talk about how you get here, how you got here. Uh, what was different with Mr. Hayes that said, I am, I'm not going to do it the way everybody else
Right.
is doing
I started thinking about it at 13, 12.
it. Okay.
I grew up in Mississippi, and between the black community and the white community, it was just day and night.
Mm-hmm.
No utilities, all that kind of stuff. So basically, we worked with rich folks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started living. And to me, that was my shining moment.
Okay.
So we coming back to a neighborhood with no plumbing, no utilities, no running water, all that kind of stuff, okay? Putting food in the smokehouse. And then we go to work for somebody, it's totally different thing. Dirt road, those kind of things. So I knew I was going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell. I like the way the rich folks live. I ain't telling
Yeah.
you lie.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
7 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
started listening to their conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then my grandfather was doing construction work, so I learned how to lay out a house at 7. So I think I can live the same way. This one guy has his own private plane. I ain't got my plane yet, but I'm still
Mm-hmm.
working on it. I'm
Yeah.
70-something years
Yeah.
old. But I knew it was different in the way they thought. And so I was graduate to the conversation about that. So and we were self-employed, and we in an area, predominantly white area. We were one of the few people that were self-employed. We told them what we were going to do and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know that wasn't the way it was done. You didn't tell white folks what to do.
Okay.
So I made my mind. This is the way I want to live. I want to have the car, house, that kind of stuff, and the freedom. I don't want to go to work every day.
Okay.
So I ain't working for nobody 8 hours a day. So
Yeah.
that was my theme. I got some jobs and had to stay there all day long. I did not like that, period. Tried that, working, and then, white boss, which I got a problem with that, didn't like the way people were treated.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like the environment. I didn't like getting one check. I'm used to having money. And so
I like that. What you say? You didn't like getting one check.
I didn't get one check. I mean, I didn't. I hated it because see, with my daddy had a way of rewarding us like every day or every 2-3 days. So I get my first job. It's like 30 days. I don't like this. I don't like this. So I don't like the way people run from people. You know, black folks running from white folks on the job. That's not me. And I get a little check, and I want to throw it back in their face. So so this ain't working. So they gave me my check one day, and I just threw up the check still, and I kept on riding. And here's Chicago, and like I told you before, I got to Chicago, and they don't feed you in Chicago, so all we do is drink Jack Daniel. And so I got down to my last $20.
Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah, I got down to my last $20 on that Friday, my first job interview. Get a job at University of Illinois. Write my resume in pencil and misspell words, grammar, torn piece of paper, all that kind of crap. Told the interview to sit down. He wasn't going anywhere. Taking a job, and took all the application out of his hand and said, I want this job right here. So he's in a state of shock because he's never had this kind of interview.
I can imagine that was the first time.
Yeah, I hear this black guy come in here and tell me, sit down. And so so then he takes the application out of my hand, the job list, and said, I want this job right here. And so he said, well, give me your resume. I said, what in the hell is a resume? I never had one of those things before. So he says, tell me about what you've been able to do, where you're going, all that kind of stuff. So I can do that. So I just tear a piece of paper out. So he's still in the shock because he can't believe that somebody who got a degree don't know what a resume is, and then going to tear a piece of paper out of the notebook and began to write. So he's in a total shock.
So you're going to write your resume on the spot.
Right. And pencil, and this guy is looking at me, he's saying to himself, I don't believe what is happening, So I finished it, he looked at it, he said, man, this is not what we do it. So I said, give it to your secretary and let her type it up.
And you told him to let the secretary type it up.
Yeah, get the secretary and let her type it up. So, it was like a totally, and I'm not even thinking there was nothing wrong with it. It was just, like you'd have been ashamed, or, because, you're a smart guy. But I had no reason to be ashamed. I didn't know, and I had no reason to think about all this stuff. All I knew, I wanted to get a job. So anyway, she types it up. Then I go for the final interview with Carl Newham, University of Illinois. So then I don't understand how to get there. So I catch the L. I don't understand what he's saying. He's talking too fast. I'm country. So I'm like 30, 40 minutes late for the interview because I had to get off the L. I'm afraid to ride it back, so I had to walk. So I walk into University of Illinois, and Carl said he's still interviewing. So come to work on Monday. Well, a few weeks later, they have an investigation, maybe 30 days ago. People had falsified their resume. I didn't know. I thought she may have put a PhD on. Like, I'm nervous because I don't know what she put on my resume. And I'm thinking, well, I just barely got out of Jackson State. I could see my student. I'm thinking she put, I got a PhD. I'm not going through all kinds of changes. I'm waiting for the investigation to come. And so nobody said anything to me. So I figured then she had
typed it up like you wrote it out.
I wrote it, bad grammar, that kind of stuff. But I didn't know how to be ashamed because I couldn't do it. Like you may be ashamed of something you can't do. But since I couldn't do it, I didn't know. And so what I didn't realize, just the fact that I said I didn't know, it really helped me more than anything else. So anyway, so I get the job, and with that, and then I went to the Conservative Vice Lord headquarters with this lady. But I didn't know you're supposed to be afraid of anybody. I'm from Mississippi. We ain't afraid of nobody. We'll fight anybody. So they had guns. And so I'm not into this kind of stuff. And the next day, the leader of the game came down and said, you're not from Chicago. That's how you figure that. And he said, you're not, because the way you act. I said, okay. And he said, nobody gonna bother you. And so I got in the paint business with one of the guys, which I think he may have been on a friend of the guy at the university. I had no tools. So he had to take me and buy all the tools for me and to get the ladder, the paint, and the brush, and everything. He said, should I just go ahead and paint all of these condos and pay you? I said, that's fine. And from there, I had a job offer with Richard Daley, mayor of Chicago. I'm just getting there now. I'm going through all this within about a week. And so, did not knowing somebody had a bet I wasn't going to make it. So the bet was like $700, I think, that they sent somebody to get me because they figured I was going to
Uh,
be lost. Because, the
yeah.
country, and they sent somebody to come get me. Well, I'm making more of the money than the guy who go come get me because
Yeah.
he's working at a junior college with working toward a PhD. I ain't got no degree, no resume, and I'm at University of Illinois. And so I met this lady, and so I helped her write a proposal. And she's on TV on that Friday night. So I'm like mad as hell because nobody mentioned me in doing this. And so she called me on Monday morning, and then she offered me a job as a model city director. But in those days, Chicago, if you're black, you couldn't get a job with Richard Daley unless you came to the black folks,
Okay.
high class black folks. So I get hired. Then they wanted me to come play Jim Rami or whatever you call it. I said, hell, I don't think a damn thing about no Jim Rami. All I know is throwing dice. I said, we know about that, but this other stuff.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna pause at me. I said, nigga gonna pause at me, so I can't, you country, you're crazy.
Right.
So anyway, I got this part-time business I started, and I never believed I couldn't do it. It's just like a lot of us don't believe we can do things, but I never believed I couldn't do it. I wasn't a good student. I barely got out of college. I had a C minus. The day of graduation, they threatened to put me out of the line. Mama was there, and my sisters, everybody there, And so I was the man. I was taking Mom up to eat, and so he said to put me out of line. So I said to myself, now, if I don't graduate, Mama is the kind of woman gonna pull her wig off her head, her teeth out her mouth, and gonna threaten to beat the hell out of me.
Yeah.
That's where my mother was. As long as my mother had a wig on her head, and teeth in her mouth.
Okay.
She is fine.
She was all right when the stuff started coming out. You know you were in trouble.
Right. So one day, Mom shows up at Jackson State. I go home. I knew I wasn't gonna graduate, so I go home anyway. So Mom shows up at Jackson State one time. Her wig in one hand, her teeth in the other hand. So Professor Nick Caesar, he said, Leon, what's wrong? Let me take you to the beauty parlor and let my younger sister fix you up. I didn't come up here to look pretty today. I come here to raise hell today. I said, oh my God. I said, I can't let that woman see me. So I said, well, I'm going to go run and jump in the shower. I said, that ain't going to work because she'll come right in the shower. She get mad, So anyway, so I said, so get down to graduation. I said, I can't open this piece of paper because if I don't, she going to throw a damn fit among 2,000 or 3,000 people. So I get halfway, about 20 miles from home. So I knew the only thing she could do was put me out and let me walk home. And I opened up my thing and I graduated. I said, God, because I had to deal with some hell. You think about it, I was broke too. This woman gonna have me running.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how I graduated. Then I get my first job and I didn't like it. Wasn't paying enough money, and nobody could address me other than Mr. Haynes.
Right.
He got 300-some people working for this guy, Bernard Waits. I still remember his name. So Bernard called me Mr. Haynes.
So how did that get you? Now with all of that. Now, fast forward, you're in real estate.
Right.
Because when I first heard about you years ago, you were working with Lawrence Johnson,
right,
real estate agency. I was just young cat in my 20s at that particular, 20s, maybe 30. But you were cutting up over there with Lawrence Johnson as a premier real estate agent. So the evolution from the hard work, the knocks, now I'm in real estate, I'm making a name for myself. How did I'm sure the past journey help you succeed with real estate, but why real estate, and where do you see there being a opportunity for a person to make a lot of money? Interest rates are going up now. It's changing the dynamics of buying a house to live in. But where do you see the mentality? No, how can you explain? No, there we go. That's this what I want to say. I want to get into real estate because I see the checks that these guys make. What should I do? What's my thought process? What should I read? Who should I align myself with? what's going to get me to uh, working 2 hours a day for myself and the other 6 hours a day managing somebody else to help me make that
I think it's
make
your
that
I
leap.
think it's your vision of how you want to live your life. I think you have to have a strong vision for you. I knew how I wanted to live my life, and going to
Mm-hmm.
work every day was not one of my
Mm-hmm.
thing. Okay, I want to make all the money I can make, um, but I had to risk something. So I had to give up the guaranteed job to go into real estate. Now
Okay.
I failed at one point. They took
Mm-hmm.
my car. I had to walk. I walked up Average Presley because they repoed my car. And so you're gonna have some challenge. But see, the point is you got to get through that. The psychological fact is you're not gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you go into real estate and you're gonna come out here and do all the stuff you're doing, it ain't gonna happen because there's so much stuff that you have to go through mentally because you have to turn loose that concept of going to work every day and that security of a check. Like my
Mm-hmm.
son, I'd bring him from there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give up that. So I had to give up the security part of it. Well, it did not work initially. I went straight down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
When you fall and you don't have any money and you got a family and you're in the hole, it's tough. But you got to have something that's keep putting you mentally.
Yeah.
And something kept telling me, even though you tried it, I mean, your car got repoed and you walk in to sell real estate up Average Presley and all that stuff, you fight all of those monsters in your mind.
Right. Right.
But you're telling yourself, if I don't do it, I'm through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back to that. And so I had to keep telling myself, even when it was tough, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, man, my utilities have been off right after Christmas. I tell the story that I was so broke, I was sleeping on a cold floor in Whitehaven
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't have no roaches, and I said, "We don't have no roaches because there was no food." Because the
Okay.
roaches left. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, you get beat up so bad, but you got to figure how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
You got to get your future. Where do you want to be? And I'm gonna be honest with you, when you don't have any money and you don't have any gas money, man, and you don't have anything in the refrigerator, and you sleep on a cold floor with $2 store sheets. I mean, you ain't
Mm-hmm.
praising Jesus. I ain't thinking about Jesus. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about how in the hell I'm gonna make it through this, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
But I saw if I stayed long enough, I could make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but you know, I'm not gonna tell you that it was an easy route. But I
Right.
had this vision of how I want to live my life. You know what my vision was?
What was that?
I want to do what the hell I want to do. I don't want to work no bunch of hours. Be it by the kind of car I want, the kind of house I got now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, half $700,000 house and car, know how to work. That was my vision.
Mm-hmm.
Going to work every day, hell, that was no damn vision for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to make some money, but going through that hell, if you could, most of us, it's like the guy in the desert. He gets almost to the water and he died because he
Mm-hmm.
give up.
Mm-hmm.
But if the water's just 2 feet away and
Yeah.
you go see him, he's dead from dehydration, and you saying the water's right over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our lives are like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going through all of this hell, you know, going through divorce and no health insurance and get sick and losing my eyesight and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and being, you know, nobody knew who I was. You know,
Mm-hmm.
kids knew who I was. So I'm in a condo, and so all kinds of hell was going through. But something kept telling me if I quit, I'm through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my goal was to make it and then quit.
Mm-hmm.
So that kept me going. In other words, I kept saying, can I live with myself if I quit? I said, but
Yeah.
eating cold beans every morning ain't no fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And no heat and no utilities,
Right.
man. Like I said, the roaches left. I mean, it was too cold for the roaches. There wasn't no food, you know.
There was this story that I heard in hearing you talk about. You had nothing to do but you couldn't give up. But I told myself this when I started my insurance agency years ago after I read the story though. But it was a ship's captain. They rowed up to the island. They were going to go and invade
Mm-hmm.
the island. And after they got off the ship, they got all of the men out of the boat, and the captain said, "Go get some wood,
Mm-hmm.
put it in the boat." And they filled the boat up with wood,
Mm-hmm.
and he set the boat on fire and pushed it out
Mm-hmm.
back out into the ocean. And they were like, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, we either gonna win or we're gonna die.
Right.
And so with your comment of everything you said, I'm either gonna win or I'm gonna die,
Right.
because I got no other choice.
I got no choice.
And I think being, and the purpose of the, like I was saying, of why I wanted to do this podcast is for entrepreneurs to have that dogged determination. Say either I'm gonna win or I'm gonna die.
Right.
I don't have any other choice of saying, well, this too tough, I'm gonna go. And well, and the ones that I believe that do that, they want the trappings of wealth.
Right.
You know, I went to Vegas last week, and we went to the mall. The malls in Las Vegas are phenomenal. But what amazed me was they had this store amongst other stores. They call them red bottom hats. And the average hat was $500 for a hat. Now I got no problems with paying $500 for a hat, but the thought was, is this the trapping of wealth, or do you really have money? Because it takes the ability to, you got to have some money. In my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm going to spend $500 for a hat, I should have made at least, my goodness, at least 100. So 10% of 5,000 is, or 10% of 5,000 is the 500. So I should have made at least $10,000 in order to buy that one hat, in order for the purchase to make sense. Otherwise, I'm just spending money, you know. And so I think, again, as an entrepreneur, there's just a different spirit that entrepreneurs have to say, again, I'm gonna roll up to the island, and I'm gonna get off, and I'm gonna stay in here. I'm gonna fight this thing until I can't. So you've also mentioned about your first million, and how that experience was not what you thought it would be. And I thought that was an interesting thought or view on it, because I'll let you talk about that, and then I'll say that part. But
I was disappointed. You listen to all this stuff, and you go someplace and you get your hands on $1 million, and it wasn't what I thought it was. I mean, it was like another letdown to me. I know people go crazy. People go crazy about houses and cars and that kind of stuff. But I had envisioned this $1 million was just, and so it just, when I looked at it, it was like nothing. And so like I tell you before, I was sitting out at the turn it off and we're spending $500,000. Like much worse than pay $100,000, and I would like go through straight depression. I mean,
now I'm gonna interrupt. This is after the beans and rice and beans, and the walking, the repossession, the utilities. Now we got a car to go to the bank.
Right. It was like crazy. So let me tell you what happened. I tell you. So I was planning on moving on the bridge. So they gonna take my house. I have the condo. Okay, I'm out here. Nobody knows where I am. Family knows where I am anyway. So I'm getting ready. I'm planning. So I'm sitting in the doorway. And so they called me, so I'm preparing to move on the bridge. But my only problem, my toes get cold. And so I'm sitting there, this is the winter month, in between the sliding glass door, and wondering how I'm going to keep my toes cool, warm. So are they going to repossess my condo? And so I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I got to keep my toes warm.
The strangest thing to
so
think
I mean,
about.
I'm thinking of everything, but my toes, I can't get my toes cold. So I'm sitting there. So I already picked out the bridge. I'll go on the bridge coming around Perkins, that bridge. I'll go move under that bridge. Okay. And so I'm preparing. So this lady called me. She said, "Mr. Haynes, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine." She said, "Mr. Haynes, you 7 months behind." I said, "I know it." And she said, "What do you pay?" I said, "I don't have any money." And she said, "What are you expecting to do?" I said, "Well, I'm sitting here. in the doorway in the sliding glass door in the winter months, and I'm thinking about I have no place to go. And I said, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to eat. And I got that figured out. I'm going to go to restaurants and work a day and eat and stay in business. I said, but my only problem, my toes get cold. And I'm trying to figure out how to keep my toes warm, sleeping on concrete. so
you wanted this real estate dream.
yeah. So anyway, so she's listening. She's saying, thinking, I can't believe it. I said, my toes get cold. She said, I guess she thinks she missed her crying. So anyway, so she said, Mr. Haynes, she said, I'm gonna call you back in 6 months, see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. And so then, so I said, so I knew I got 6 more months to last.
So your toes safe from that? My
toes safe from now. And then on top of that, I owe IRS some money. And they told me that I need to go get my car because my car got 200-some thousand miles on it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going through all kind of changes. I'm going through a divorce. The wife don't want me no more. I'm broke because I'm broke. She doesn't want me no more. Yeah. And then I'm out here now.
She didn't want her toes gone.
Well, no, right. She didn't want her toes. So get rid of the Negro. Anyway, so I'm like broke. And, I've had the cold beans, my utilities cut off and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm 6-7 months behind. I'm going to be threatened to put out. And now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to live on the bridge. So I figured it out. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to live on the bridge. I'm going to go to a restaurant and I'm going to work. At least I'm going to eat. I won't starve. So I had it figured out. But my only problem, I couldn't solve the toe problem. So then IRS said, I was talking to me and she said, Mr. Haynes, I'm about to put this lien on you on a car. Your car got 200-some thousand miles on it. So I said, yeah. So I walk out. She said, a friend of mine has just quit, And I said to her, should I kill myself? She said, I can't tell you to do that. This
is the IRS lady.
Yeah. She said, I don't see how you gonna make it. Because I said, so she said, I'm gonna put this lien on you and you're not gonna be able to buy a car. Yeah. And so I said to her, should I kill myself? She said, that's something you have to think about. I can't tell you to do that because my thing is collecting money. So anyway, so I'm thinking about killing myself. So, I'm gonna be honest with you. You out here going in business, man, you go through big changes, you can't pay your bills. I mean, you go through divorce, you got you got nothing really, and you get to a certain age too, I'm going through all kind of changes. And so anyway, she said, I can't tell you to kill yourself, but that's something you may want to think about because I don't know how you're gonna pay this money back. So my bill goes to $100,000. So anyway, so now I got to figure out how I'm going to pay the child support because they're going to take me to jail. So when I go into court for the divorce thing.
So you had some pressure.
I had some pressure.
You had some pressure.
So I go into court, and so they had, in real estate, you got to be in a sale club. You don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
So it's out that I'm a millionaire. And so.
So the court know you're a millionaire.
Right. So they don't know it's not a really millionaire, So anyway, I go into court. And they said, Mr. Haynes, where's the $1 million? I said, let me tell you one damn thing. If I had $1 million, I ain't no way in the hell I'm going to give $1 million. And my attorney said, he's having an emotional breakdown with my attorney. He's having an emotional judge. He's about to lose his judge.
That wasn't Judge Turner, was it?
So anyway, what the hell I give for $1 million? I ain't going to give about $1 million. And boy, so my attorney grabbed me and they dragged me out. Because he's having
an emotional breakdown.
My toes cold and I no utilities and no food, a canned bean, I can't talk about I got a damn $1 million. Anyway. So I'm going through all these changes. And so then so they got me back in the room and so they want to see all my paperwork. So I go and get 3 black bags and I come into the place and I drop each bag, all my junk, 3 bags up and on the table.
Yeah.
And so it said her attorney crazy, but I'm going like, man, it's just rough. I can't find Jesus. I said, they said Jesus is on his way. I said, but hell, I don't know where he is because I'm about to go through this.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out, so what in the hell I'm going to do? I can't pay my house note. I can't pay my attorney fee. Can't pay her attorney fee.
So now wait a minute. So you got the $1 million and all of this is going on at the same time.
Well, I'm not sure if I got it, but see, the thing it wasn't so much the $1 million; it was the sale. So really, I didn't
Yeah,
have the $1
the
million,
sale. Right,
but
right.
everybody thought I got the $1 million
Yeah,
because they were
yeah,
rich. They coming
yeah,
at my ass, man.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
like everybody coming at me.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I
So
think,
the Voyagers
uh,
are now.
yeah. So
So
going through the divorce now, because women like men make some money. So
yeah.
I'm like, man. I said, damn, where is Jesus? So I got to go to the office to stay warm because my utilities off. So I would go to the office and stay late until like 11 o'clock or 12. And then I'm too embarrassed. My friends see me coming out of
Yeah.
this place.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, I go into to this place I live in late at night. Gang infested.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what happened. So the first place I went in, I drove up with my beds in my car. I had a Lincoln Negro driver Lincoln back in there. So these two old women see me and they know that I'm out of place. They almost start crying. So anyway, so I'm driving up into this dump, and so now our safety is a problem. So this guy, his wife had left him, and so he's crying at night. So I knew a friend of mine gave him big old case of beer. I'll give him a case, a 6-pack, so keep people off me.
Mm-hmm.
So one night, this going, man, my whole life is just moving from a nice house. Just the whole world is just flipped on me.
I can't imagine.
I mean, going into a dump, and 2 dumps and no utilities, man, and only got enough money to buy a loaf of bread and 5 cans of pork and beans. And I would run every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning just to deal with the pressure.
Yeah.
So my whole.
So that's what
Right.
That's how. Because again, on your Facebook Live post, you do post. You have your words of wisdom. Then you say, "I'm gonna go run it." So the running came from the 3 o'clock just to relieve the.
Yeah, because I was going crazy.
People would want to know. Say, well, "Why are you running? What started?" Because you'd be like, "Okay, whether it's an athletic thing or
no, it was just
just to relieve the pressure."
Right, keep from going totally crazy, So I'm running down the street. So I mean, people seeing me running the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to FedEx Express. They said he got issues, I mean, ain't nobody out here this time of morning.
Yeah.
It's raining, pouring down rain. I'm still running. I got my head wrapped with. I didn't have a jogging outfit at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get my big old towel wrapped around my head to keep the rain off.
Yeah.
It was a trip. Man, it was. You can imagine. You see me running down the street with a big old towel on my head and raining.
Right.
So I'm going through all kind of changes, man. And so I don't know where Jesus is. I said Jesus is black, and like most black folk, he broke, and I'm catching hell. He ain't listening. I'm just going through all kinds of scenarios.
Yeah.
And so, but something kept telling me, man, don't quit.
Yeah.
See, and I'm like the smallest person in my family. Everybody's fat and fine, and I'm looking like I need a meal. I'm going around to all happy hour. I don't have any money, so I would go to all happy hours eat. I knew I could eat on Friday, so I knew all the places to eat in Memphis.
Yeah.
So I'm determined I'm going to make it. Now most folks will give up. Your wife done left you. Your dog done left you. Your utilities off. It's in winter month. It's raining outside. You're sleeping on the floor with 2 sheets, and so your car is raggedy. The wheel come off your car. You got to chase it down Covington Pike. People.
Listen, I'm sitting here listening to your story and listening to you talk. When I promise you, when I tell you, I understand, because when you are wanting and you have that doggedness of saying, "I'm gonna do this, come hook or crook, I'm going to do this." Now, what all of this excitement, we'll call it excitement, of this excitement that has gone on in your life now in your 70s, I ain't gonna give you exact age, but now in your 70s, all of these dreams have come to pass. Your children doing fine. I see your son building $1 million houses. Your daughter doing seminars around the country, doing extremely well. You have now don't have to worry about the pork and beans and the beans and pork and the roaches. But what, as finishing our conversation up, as a young person, not even a young person, a person that say, you know what, I heard your story, I've been down this road, or I'm going down this road. We talked about Napoleon Hill's book title, Think and Grow Rich. You got a lot of different motivational speakers, Tony Evans, Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, so forth and so on. And everybody tell you about how to supposedly get over the hump. But while you're going through it, something clicked and said, one thing that I've gathered, and then even from me personally, what makes the change is developing a working system. So did you just stick with it to say, I'm going to list so many houses, I'm going to try, because when you work in commission sales, you only get paid on results. So did it deal with, I'm going to list so many houses, I'm going to go after? How did you calm your mind enough, because you do have to segment, how do you calm your mind while all hell is breaking loose, to stay consistent to the plan? And I think that's one of the things that gets people off track, because the devil does like to get you distracted. If you work the plan, and if you take one step at a time and don't stop, you're going to get from one destination to the next. Where most people get thrown off is they one step at a time, then all of this trauma happened, then they stop, and then they say, well, I never made it to the goal. It wasn't that the goal was moved, it was that you stopped. And so in hearing all of your life journey, I hear that you never stop, because you can say, for the ones that are religious, they'll say, okay, well, the devil knows or can see, not omnipresent, but he can see something on you and say, okay, if I can stop him now, he won't be able to have this interview with Ronald in 2022 to talk about his story, to inspire somebody else, because we don't know who's going to be listening to this. Because I'm not interested so much in stopping TC, period. I'm interested in the person that's going to hear the interview, because they going to do something different. So how do you,
I saw my death. I saw my death.
Okay.
I know it's crazy, but you go through all kinds of changes.
I understand.
I saw my death. I saw my funeral. And then I saw myself being lowered into a casket. And in that process, I said to myself, this is it. And my mind was that I got to do this. In other words, I didn't want to see myself going to my death, not getting what I wanted. So I saw myself in the church, and I saw myself being lowered in the casket. I know it's crazy,
but that's what kept it.
I said that I did not want to go to my death with regrets. I didn't want to go. And I wasn't drunk when I was dreaming this. Okay, I mean, I quit drinking Jack Daniels. Okay, I passed that stage. But that's what really happened. I saw myself at my funeral, and then I saw myself being lowered in the grave. And then as I lowered in the grave, all the way to the bottom, like we do in funerals, I just said, I just don't want to go like this. I just don't want to die and not do what I want to do. That's. I just saw myself, all these people standing around like I went to a funeral, and sitting around in chairs, and they lowered me down. That really pushed me. I just didn't want to go to my death, not do what I wanted to do.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I want to have another sit down with you, and we want to talk about the business of becoming wealthy. We know the story of Mr. TC now. So Anybody that can say, he was special. He grew up
Mm-mm.
and he did and he did and he had and he we got
Because
all of that
right, Papa couldn't
fallacy
read. Papa couldn't read.
out of the way. So now I want to on the next time we sit down here soon, I want to sit down with you and I want to say, all right, take me from broke to a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the rubber gonna meet the road.
Right.
Because I think if we can get people from broke to millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
then we can change people's lives. We can change our nation. I'm a believer of if you change your world, I change my world, and the next person changed their world. You may know 50 people, I may know 5, the
Mm-hmm.
next person may know 10, the
Mm-hmm.
next person may know 100. But if you change your world,
Mm-hmm. You
when
change
you
it.
look at the grand scheme of things, then you sit back and say, oh, it's a lot of people that have been affected and changed by just what I can do.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. By changing just what I can do, not what you saying, well, you got to change your world, my world, and Frank world.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much of
Mm-hmm.
a load on
Mm-hmm.
you to try for one person to try to change everybody's
Mm-hmm.
world. But everybody was to say, okay, well, how can I change? So I made, and not only that, we'll change our children's world.
Right.
Because what I like from everything is everything that you've gone through, your children listen and you change their world.
Oh yeah.
So now you change your world by of course, changing their world, and they in turn now have the ability to change somebody else. So now you look and you're like, whoa, we doing all right.
Yeah,
You
because
know, and that's all God requires us
I have to do anyway. And,
us to do.
like the daughter blowing the world up in Houston next month, 10,000 people, you know, and she's listening to my stuff that I've been doing and putting it together in her own concept. So you can you do that. I mean, if I hadn't did what I did, my kids wouldn't be doing what they do. I'm saying straight up.
Exactly.
Because every time they fall in the hole, they got to think about, hey, Pop went through this.
Yeah.
Then I can do this.
Yeah.
And my grandkids say, hey, Grandpa did this, you know. So it like I said, I saw my death. That's that was the final of this stuff that how I want to look up for my last time. And I could have said, well, hey, you can't look about your grave when you're dead, but I'm saying, how do I look at my life? And I don't want to go through, I don't want to have no regrets. I don't want to have any regrets for how I live my life. I don't want to have no regrets. And that was the premise of the whole thing. I'm not having no regrets. And you know, and then a lot of things will happen to you, but like the money is not what I thought it was. What I mean by that, when you get okay, I go down a few minutes and write a check for a car. I remember 20 years ago, I walked into a dealership and spent $120,000 on a car, hit cash. I was driving a pickup truck. But since I could get it, it wasn't that important no more.
Yeah.
It was time you talking about like almost 20 years ago, go down to the dealership, walk in, I pick out a baby blue SL 500 AMG. It's $120,000. He would give it to me for $120,000. And so I had the money. I walked in the dealership with $200,000 on my account. It lost a lot of the flavor when I knew I could get it. It took
really not even, I must say, look at it a different way. It didn't lose flavor. What happened was now since you could afford it, you're like, okay, that was my car. I just want to be able to afford it.
Right. So I was down the pickup truck and no power windows, nothing fancy. And so when I walked in there to write the check, I just got down to the point where you negotiate the price at $119,000.
Yeah.
I said, looked at my pickup truck and walked out.
Yeah.
I was going to buy 2 Mercedes. I think I was going to pay cash for the one I was going to get, and then buy her one and put, I think, $50,000. So I was going to spend about $156,000 a day. 170, I think, 150, I think.
That was a good day for some salesmen, anyway.
Yeah. So I had the money, so I'm going to give $200,000. This is what I count, and so it didn't resonate. It didn't even. Not even today. I mean, I'd like to get to the Bentley, but it doesn't have the same effect.
out of all the times
Yeah.
before.
It,
So
it,
that
it,
must be the key.
it, it's like now I can spend $1 million for a house, $1.5 million. With this house, 2 million, I can actually make the number go 2 million, but it don't have
The effect.
it don't it just doesn't
Yeah.
have the same thing. And people go out and buy stuff they can't afford. But to me, is if I can afford it. But now the $2 million house doesn't impact me anymore. You know, I was disappointed when I looked at one. And the car don't impact me anymore because I know I can afford it, and I know I can go pay cash for a car in 10 minutes. So, so really, you live better because then you don't have all those debts. I don't have any debts.
When you don't have any debt, life makes it a whole lot simpler.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, it's like
it doesn't matter how much money you have is if you don't have any debt. But what I want to do, like I say, because I got to go to the next one, and you got to go to the next one. But we gonna I'm gonna get on your calendar for our next sit down is going to be how to take me from 0 to a millionaire. So we want to train and talk to and let some folks know some of the secrets to getting that first piece of property, changing their mindset, whatever it may be, to get them from being stuck.
Right.
So I appreciate you spending time with me, and seem like everybody's phone ring and say, "Hey, we need you now."
They want money, man.
I got you. So
we
gonna most definitely get together.
I think that's good. That's good.
And we're gonna take some lessons. I'm gonna have read up on both of your books, and we're gonna see what we can do to change some people's lives in our world.
And that's
and then we go from there.
That's what my Facebook thing is about. Is that you know, there's two phases of the Facebook thing. Is that I'm running to show you can stay healthy. I'm saying you can still be healthy at 77 years old, whatever, and be strong, but you can also create wealth at the same time. So that's why I do the running, and then I do the talking. I'm doing it for two purposes. The main purpose, I want my voice to stay strong. I see people lose at a certain age. So I'm cognizant that I'm declining, and so so the way to make it work for me is that if I run every morning and talk, even in the rain, it strengthens me overall. That's that purpose I'm running on Facebook. So it's a health thing.
One day I might join you.
Yeah.